Welcome to From the Inside Out podcast, where I'm your host, Gregory Washington. This evening, we have two great gentlemen. I have Willie Jackson and his son, Caderrian. We're so excited about this podcast because this podcast is designed to break the cycles of self-destruction and in poverty and incarceration in broken families. And I'm going to start out asking Willie a question. So, Willie, you said you were incarcerated. Tell us a little bit about that incarceration.
Well, I was young. I was 20 years old when I went in, and I was 50 when I came out. However, at that young age, I was doing a lot of foolish things. Everything that I did, I brought it on myself. It wasn't like someone made me do something. I did it. However, I had made my bed hard, so I decided that I was going to sleep in it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Would you agree that during that time, at 20 years old, what kind of sentence were you giving to do 30 years in prison? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, they sentenced me to 2 life sentences and 40 years running consecutive.
And you were 20 years old?
Yes, sir. I was 20 years old.
Okay. So would you agree that during that time, anger, denial, shock, grief, were any of those things going through your mind? Was any of those issues present for you at that time?
Every one of them.
Okay, talk about it.
It was just a flood of different emotions, a flood of different thoughts. I was leaving one world, going into a world that I didn't know anything about, So, of course, I had fear, anxiety, depression, you name it. It was there.
Okay. So, this is your son, Caderrian.
Yes.
How old are you, sir?
32 years old.
32 years old. So, Willie, you telling me you have a 32-year-old son sitting beside you, and you just did 30 years in prison.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I've been out now for a little over 2 years. And when I got arrested, his mom was pregnant with him. She was 8 months pregnant.
Okay.
So I know I done messed up. You know what I'm saying? So they finna send me up the road. And she was like, baby, I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna ride with you. So I'm like, I got to adjust my mindset to survive in this world where I think they sending me to die. I say that because I was 20 years old when I got to prison. I was too young for general population. They sent me straight to Reedsville, what was the bottom at the time. So I was seeing in my mind that they sent me here to die. Cause you put me in a dormitory with the regular population when you got guys on lockdown who will be 21 in 30 days, but you won't let them down. So that was, I had a lot of things to wrestle with. That's why I was telling his mom, look, I'm not gonna do this to you. Life doesn't stop for me or you. However, if you meet somebody and you fall in love with them or whatever, give them a chance. I just didn't want to go to prison. I just asked her to promise me one thing. Just promise me that my son know who I am.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, you wasn't there at his conception. When he was born, you was not there.
I was on the phone.
You were on the phone when he was born.
Yes.
So talk about that. How did that make you feel, man?
Man, it made me feel, ooh, now that's where you get this the emotional flood of sadness and regret and just a lot of different emotions going through me at that time, because here it is, my son is being born and I'm incarcerated with 2 life sentences and 40 years. Not knowing that I would ever really just see him and hold him in the free world, in society,
Right.
So it affected me in a way to where I just wanted his mom to be happy.
Okay.
I wanted him to grow up in a family structure. That's why I was, kind of running her way. Just promised me that he know who I am. So her husband, after she was married, every time I would call, he would answer the phone, and it's a collect call from me, and he would say yes. Then he would tell Caderrian, your daddy wants you. So to me, that allowed him to grow all the way up, knowing that this wasn't his daddy, but his daddy wasn't there.
Okay. All right. So, Caderrian, I have this question for you, because I believe from just you and I having conversations that you never got an opportunity to say how you felt in this situation, because nobody asked the kid.
Right.
So, share, how did that make you feel? Were you angry? Was you in shock? Were you in denial? Was things going on in your head?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it was kind of like, it was what it was. It wasn't like strange to me because I always knew that was my dad, but my dad was always there. So it wasn't no secret. I always knew what it was, but I never really thought about it fully until he came home and he was in the free world. And, it wasn't really nothing strange. I grew up in a family structure, me, my sister, my mom, and my daddy.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it was like something that really affected me deeply, I would say, initially. It was what it was.
Okay. So the situation was like it was. So you had somebody in the place playing that father figure for you. Well,
Right.
He wasn't playing the father figure. He was the father.
But he was always there too. Like he was on the phone. Like we always talked. He always, he was still there too. He wasn't there, but he was there.
Okay.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
what would you say to a young man that's probably watching this podcast, that's in the same situation that you were in, but didn't have the stepfather, didn't have really a good communication with his father? What would you say to him right now? Because it's probably somebody listening to this podcast that's their situation. And Caderrian, I want you to help them, because you're saying you were blessed with the opportunity because the way your father set it up, he told your mother, hey, look, don't wait on me.
Right.
Please go get in a family structure for my son. So what would you say to that individual that was listening?
Man, I just say try to keep some type of communication with your father, because any type of communication will be a great thing. Okay. If you don't have the other part that I was blessed with, which was another dad. So if you don't, just try to, learn from his mistakes the best of your ability. Try to keep some communication open. Don't just be like, don't just try to push it away and close it off. Try to keep the communication going no matter how long or what the situation is with him. All right. That's all I can say.
That's a great answer, man. I appreciate your honesty with that. So I'm gonna pry a little bit more because, I know when your dad came home after 30 years, talk a little bit about how, of course, 30 years have passed, so how are y'all working on now y'all transition as father and son? You let me know that now you have kids, so he have grandkids. Right. So let's talk a little bit about that. So how has that transition been for you?
I feel like it was a smooth transition, honestly, because he was always there. I always knew that was my daddy. We was always on that phone. I went down there to see him.
Okay.
A couple times. I even went one time by myself, drove my little car down there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Pocket full of quarters. But it was a smooth transition to me. Like, I came home, I turned 30. He came home 30 years, threw me a 30th birthday party. Never really had a party like that, especially as a grown up.
Yeah.
So I came home, he threw me a party, man. Great situation. it was just love. You know what I'm saying? That's all
great,
it
man.
was.
That's great. That's great. So Willie, you know, we got men and women that's watching this podcast, and I want you to help them now, because they probably sitting in the cell where you once sat. They have kids in society, and the communication. You know, Caderrian said something so important. It seemed like y'all communication and y'all love for each other and the support that he had kept you in his life. So what would you say to a man or a woman that's sitting in a cell, then lost all communication with their kids? How would you encourage them?
Well, you know, I'm not a magician or Jesus or anything, but I think to encourage someone who has lost everyone, what I realized and what I learned by going to prison was, even without your biological family, we create families inside with good people who we meet.
Okay.
You have mentors, people who take you under their wing and show you how it go, how to survive in these places. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm not saying I've never been in a gang. My son has never been in a gang.
That's good.
Our gangs back in the day, they used to just dance. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't none of the crazy stuff. But what I would say is that people come into our lives for a reason.
Okay.
Sometimes God will put just the right person right there for you in order for you to keep on going. Because they say he'll never put nothing on you that you can't handle.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So inside of that, we have to depend on each other.
Okay.
That's what it is, man. We create families.
Okay.
When we don't have a family.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So family legacy. So you took the Tyro Dash program.
Yes.
You know, that's a program that we have designed to work inside of institutions. It's a part of the City of Refuge, Family Reunification and Reentry. So this is what this podcast is all about. This is about reunifying, and you are witnessing right now the reunification of Willie and his son Caderrian out here in society. And I'm so amazed by how, and I believe it was only a testament of God, that y'all stayed connected over that long period of time. And, you know, early, me and Caderrian, we was talking, he, at some points, he thought he would never get this opportunity. So, Caderrian, what would you say to a young man or young woman that's father or mother is incarcerated? What encouragement of hope would you give them? Because 30 years is a long time.
A very long time.
So what encouragement will you give them that's watching, man, if they got a parent incarcerated like that?
Man, you got one mama, one daddy. Just communication. That's all I can say. Like, cause obviously anything can happen. The man just said he had 2 life sentences plus 40, and he home.
Okay.
So I would just say, you know, just value your parents. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I like
That's
that.
all I can say. Just value them, because you only got one mom, one dad.
I like that.
No matter who, you know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. That
value your family, because we don't get an opportunity to choose who our families is. So Willie, I want to ask you this, because you learned this in Tyro. You know, we talk about family legacy. So we're talking about breaking cycles of self-destruction and poverty and incarcerating and broken family. What would you say now, the legacy that now that you're out, you're with your son Caderrian, he has kids, what is the legacy looking like? Talk to me about that. How important that is to you.
Greg, legacy is life.
Okay.
Legacy is very important. Now, to me, I have a million dreams, a million ideas. And they say ideas is what make people rich. But my thing is, my legacy, I wasn't there to raise my son. And I know sometimes this might sound harsh, but God knew what was best.
Mm.
I could have only given him what I had, which was nothing.
Okay.
So by God sending his other daddy, and cause I'm comfortable with it,
Yeah.
I appreciate Kelvin.
Yeah.
You understand? His name is Kelvin.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I appreciate Kelvin because
good.
he did a wonderful job, man. I'm proud of my son. My grandbabies, I try to spend as much time with them as I can. And my legacy, I want to be able to do everything for them, my grandbabies, that I couldn't do for him.
That's good. So now I'm going to transfer that question to Caderrian, because now the ball is in your court. You have kids. And I'm going to tell you, man, society and the way society is set up, they want your kids. They want your kids. And I'm so proud of you. I just want to say this, man, publicly.
Appreciate
that you haven't took that route. Because you could have easily say, hey, man, I want to be like my daddy. You know what I mean? I want to go see what's up with my daddy. But you did, man. You realized that it was something better. So how important it is for your kids' legacy to live on and to be strong.
Man, listen, I don't want to leave their side at all. That just is what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Never leaving.
Never leaving.
At all.
So if you had a young 30-year-old that was listening to this podcast, what would you tell them about their legacy with their kids? You said never leave their side.
Never. I mean, I don't feel like I can speak for everybody just speaking, but my daddy being gone made me never want to leave mine. And that's just all I really stand on. Like, I can't go that way. Yeah. I'd be spun by a square pants, sit in the house, go to work, whatever, to not, fall into a wrong situation or put myself in any type of situation to where I have to leave for one day. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's good,
or no time period. So that's just how I think about life, and that's just how I move right now. I just don't, I got in a little trouble, but I don't want no trouble, nothing. I just want to build that family structure, build that up for as long as I can.
That's good, man. I appreciate you too, man. I got so much respect for you because you young and you seeing it clear. Me and your father, we had to go experience what we needed to experience now to get to where you at.
So
you're able to see it through, and I'm glad to hear that you're able to see it through. From the Inside Out podcast, man, is just designed for real life stories. These are real life stories of men and women that have experienced and been affected by the criminal justice system. And we get an opportunity to help people. You have helped us tonight to further our mission and talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. Right. Because it's very, very important. So Willie, I want to close on this note because I don't want to take long, but I want to say this to you, man. I work with you. I admire you. I respect you. Because I don't know if I could have did 30 years and have the smile that I have seen you have over a long period of time, man.
Yeah, I know.
But I know it didn't start out like that.
No.
So give 3 top things that you would tell somebody that's watching this podcast that's probably facing the journey that you have faced, what would you tell them?
Well, it took me 10 years to come to my senses.
Okay.
And calm down inside of that place. You know, being in prison, man, it's like being dead. Cause you can't help anybody. Somebody could slap my mom. I can't even do nothing. I'm here, but I'm not here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But being in prison, man, going in with 2 life sentences and 40 years, it is very easy to give up hope.
Okay.
It is very easy to just not care about nothing.
Okay.
You know, because you could do the same thing in there that you did out here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, I may be getting off, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, like, going in that prison, man, doing all that time like that, it took me 10 years to come to my senses and calm down. And I'm just hoping what I would say to these guys, man, focus on who you are, who you want to be, even if you're not that individual right now.
Right.
You begin working on you, because my whole prison bid, you might not believe this, it wasn't like prison to me. It was like I was in college for 30 years. I got a GED, I went to college, I did all of these things in prison. I took all the classes. Even if I didn't have this problem, I wanted to learn about it. So if somebody in my family had it, I have something that I can give.
Okay.
When I said that it was God that allowed Kelvin to raise my son for me because I had nothing to give him.
Right.
Once I achieved what it is that I needed in order to be able to give him some, he brought us back together.
That's good. That's good. That's
you
good.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good, man. I appreciate that. And, you know, we getting ready to wrap up, man. And I just appreciate really, you know, having a platform, you know, here at City of Refuge. They give us an opportunity, man, to do this type of thing. And we just hope our listeners are seeing the fact of life, hope, and transformation happening. Willie Jackson and his son, Caderrian, reunited, doing what they supposed to do as father and son. You have a great relationship with your grandkids. You see the importance. So the redemption is evidence. And I just want our listeners to see that redemption is real, man. It's real. This is a powerful story. We don't want everything to be doom and gloom, because this could have been a doom and gloom interview. Because 30 years is a long time. You could have got up here and said, "Hey, man, I hate this dude."
I could have been mad at him. But nah, it ain't never been like that at all.
And that's good, man. So
I ain't never thought about it like that.
That's good. And I'm glad that you stayed very optimistic and you didn't give up hope. Right. You know, we believe in light, hope, and transformation around here. So you the hope pillow in here. You know, Willie just did a video and said City Refuge has a whole bunch of hope. So he right, you know, so we have hope.